Welcome, friends, to the Beaver Dam, and we are going to be talking about this Relic Delta post that CG put out. I've been so busy the last couple of days that I haven't had time to take a look at this. I am picking up another job, and it's a job that I'm way out of my depth on, and so I've been trying to study for that and get prepped for that job, and so I just have not had time to read this post. I haven't had time to watch any videos on it, so I genuinely don't know what's in here. I know some people, I briefly glanced at it when it first dropped, and I know some people said there's some stuff about removing relic levels, I think, for newer characters. I don't know. We're gonna go and read through this. I genuinely don't know. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts as we go, but we're just gonna jump right in. So flashbang, careful. Okay, so why Relic Delta? Heads up, this is pretty long. There's a lot to unpack, both foundationally and topically. We've heard concerns about splitting focus between increasing relic levels on older characters to account for Relic Delta while still wanting to pursue newer characters. That's okay. That sounds like less of a... more of this was pre-planned to me, once again, but maybe I'm reading too far into this. With our upcoming release, we'll be changing how players get and invest in new characters. More details come on later, but the relevant portion for Relic Delta is this. We'll be progressing through gear tiers and lower relic levels without needing to use gear or relic materials, which frees up those resources to be spent on older characters. Again, this feels like they dropped it in a different way on purpose. I don't know. We'll talk about it at the end. Additionally, both droid brains and higher level signal data will be added as outputs from the scavenger, giving players an alternative means of acquiring those materials. I mean, cool, I guess. I don't think it's like insanely helpful. Lastly, the playtest is still ongoing, and we're continuing to gather feedback from testers and community. It better be ongoing because it's not in a good spot. We simply wanted to provide the context folks have been requesting, so let's get into it. The basics of vertical progression. Games with progression fall into two main categories. Horizontal progression is a primary vector. Power does not increase, rather over time you gain additional tools in your tool belt to solve the same sort of problems as similar power levels. This honestly kind of feels like how Raid Shadow Legends builds, because Raid Shadow Legends, you hit the power cap for a character really quickly. I was kind of surprised how quickly I got like a max level character. And then at that point, it's just like getting the proper tools for different events. Vertical progression as a primary vector. Power increases with new releases. This doesn't have to be a rapid increase. The team has done an excellent job of taking measured and calculated steps when it comes to power increases. I do think this is true. I think CG is pretty good at this. I think that there is a little bit of toxicity in their meta, but for the most part, they prevent toxicity. So, the power increase can come from new equipment, stats, new kits, abilities, new systems, etc. Also, you have to shut us down. We just can't already tell you that. Please send help. We are blinking twice. I don't think they can be shut down is the thing. The amount of revenue that this company makes, because even if all of the developers were being paid $100,000 a year, they're still making a profit margin of what? 95%. Like, this is an incredible amount of money, and so unless it's like spurred by the buyout, I don't know. The buyout would have to be something about shutting this down, but I feel like the people that are trying to buy them out are not interested in shutting down something like this, because they're trying to basically tie their economy into other things, and so to get rid of something like this would be wild. Now, keep in mind that what I said about 95%, revenue, you do have to keep in mind you are paying for the IP of Star Wars. I don't know how much that costs. I'm sure it's a lot, but I don't think it's several $1 million. I could be wrong with that, but like, either way, you're still making money in this game. So. Okay, so both types of games need new content, at least in the context of a live service game. They have different constraints and objectives with new content, but they both need a vertical progression. Games generally need new content at higher power that player transition away from older content. I don't necessarily agree, but okay, we see this in Galaxy of Heroes because it is, of course, primarily a progression game with some horizontal progression elements. Yeah, it started out as a vertical progression game, and you guys have pushed it into a horizontal progression game very, very, like, obviously. You know, it is a squad-based game now. It is not just grab the top characters. It's not squad arena based. Like, I would say that Marvel Strike Force is very vertical, but I feel like this game is a very good balance of the two, especially because they don't increase the verticality in great leaps and bounds. Looks like we may be having a guest on here in just a sec to help discuss this in just a moment as well. Hey, Burrito, welcome. Isn't one of the company's investment firm? I don't think it shut down anything that makes money for them. Yeah. We see this your account gets stronger over time as a result of gaining stronger characters, increasing gear and relic levels, acquiring and finding better mods, and you rightfully want to engage with new content, which most of the time needs to be at higher power levels to absorb, showcase, and reward the power increase of your account. So what I'm already seeing is essentially they're like, we've pushed too much in the horizontal way of the power increase, and we want to make this vertical again. We want to make you taking up these characters as high as possible be very rewarded, and that's how we intended this game to be, even though over the last 3 years it's been more and more pushed towards horizontal increase. So I think that's definitely an interesting kind of reframing. They don't classify it as a reframing. They're basically saying this is just the normal way of what we're doing. But no, I think this is a total reframing. They've been pushing horizontal growth for so long. Now they want to push that vertical growth as much as possible, push you into getting those higher relic levels. So in other words, screw people with legs because you know ladders. You just got to pay for the escalator, Madness. That's all you need. Please note that this doesn't mean we're suddenly going to leap forward multiple relic levels. We do want to introduce new relic levels over time, but we want to bring players along at the same pace, catch up players to make sure all players are able to engage with and enjoy new content. Now, this is something we've asked for a long time, and it's what I've been talking about, is that there's such a problem with the low players. Like that level 85 to like the first 6 months of content is just so incredibly rough, and it needs to be fixed. And so, like, yes, this is true, but the Relic Delta thing doesn't fit into that very well. The Relic Delta fits into, we want to force it to be vertical progression again, but it doesn't really make sense with this piece at all. Like, you could have done this without Relic Delta being there. The Relic Delta is, you know, something where Relic 9 doesn't feel necessary at all for anyone. Like, you guys have heard me make content. You've heard everyone make content. There are very few of us that are saying Relic 8 your attackers, Relic 9 your tanks. We're all saying don't Relic 9 anyone, just Relic 9 your requirements. And then after that, it's all PPs. And then if you want to Relic 9 some characters, there's some Relic 9 characters that are better than others. But like, the stat scaling is very based on like tanks and that type of stuff. And so really that's the only thing that's worth Relic 9ing. And so I can get why they would want to make it so you feel a little bit better Relic 9ing a character, but the level of scaling that they're considering is insane. Problem, scalability. This is the exact problem we're talking about. In systems design, we try to make systems as scalable as possible. If you can build your system in a way that adapts to or accounts for changes in the game that you don't know yet are coming, you've built a robust and scalable system. This game is called Crisis. This game looked absolutely gorgeous for its time. It was incredible how good this game looked. But the problem is no one can max the resolution, no one can max the settings on this game. Even all these years later, no machine can really max out this game. Now, does anyone in chat know why you can't max out Crisis 1? Because like Crisis 2 is beautiful, Crisis 3 is beautiful, all of them are good steps in the right direction. Why does anyone know why you can't max out Crisis 1? I'm curious before I give the answer. Does anyone know this story? I can't wait for more time, for the time of more time, but until then we wait patiently. Sounds good, Talion. I'm not seeing any responses in chat. Hey, MV, welcome, welcome. It's good to see you, my friend. I feel like it has been forever. So the answer for why Crisis, what was your response to my last message? I don't know. Oh, just pay for the escalator is what I said, Madness. So the reason that Crisis 1 cannot be optimized is because it was future-proofed. And the way that it was future-proofed, back when Crisis 1 came out, CPUs were built to be single-core processors. And, you know, they were going to continue along that route. And so Crisis 1, what they thought the future was going to be was increasing the single core to work better and better and better over time. What we switched into is a multi-core processor. So I've got, what is it? I think I have 12 cores in my CPU, I think. I can't remember the exact amount. But yeah, I've got a 12 core processor. Now, none of those singular processors are good enough to scale up what this is, because we built into having multiple cores to work on the problem. And so because this game future-proofed in the wrong way, where it was like, oh, we're going to assume that technology is going to go this way, they ended up screwing themselves, where this game can never run at its full potential, which is unfortunate. And so all that to just kind of bring it back to, like, when you have to be careful with future proofing, because if you future proof in the wrong direction, then you need to do things like you're doing right now, where they're completely breaking apart all of the systems of Galaxy of Heroes and trying to rebuild it into something different. Because it's completely insanely different world now, 9 years later after this game came out. So if you build a bunch of features that aren't scalable, at some point you have to spend all your time updating older things rather than building cool new stuff for the players to enjoy. That's the thing I love, though. Ugh, CG. Give me the lifters. That's all I care about. Anyways, I didn't say we shouldn't or don't update older systems. Just look at GAC out of GA, Raids 2.0, Ships 2.0, yes. But like, also, you have to be careful when introducing new things as well, because you already have the problem of a lot of people complaining about how much time investment is spent in the game. And so unless you're planning on completely throwing out the older systems, you're kind of screwed. And like, you could just revamp the older systems. Territory War you did GA into GAC. You could do a Territory War shift. In fact, it was originally supposed to be worked on, and it just never was. I don't know. Scalable systems need updates sometimes, but the more you can build your game to have scalable systems, the easier it is to maintain and make more fun stuff for your players. Yeah, the problem is you have scalable systems in the game, and you aren't utilizing them. 6 years ago, we transitioned from gear to relics as a primary progression system for characters. Yes, relics were added because adding a new gear tier was a massive undertaking, new pieces with a variety of stats. Yeah, so it'd be an easier thing just to add in something that's a new way of doing it. Balance work was even worse, needing to account for multiple possible combinations of buckets of stats for each character. Yeah, so, supports get these types of gear pieces and so on and so forth. And the roster has only grown since then. The reason for Relic's entire distance is to solve the scalability problem of the gear system. And that makes sense. Honestly, I 100% get that. Yeah, it feels like they instead of solving any of the problems, because we enjoy the game how it is, instead of solving any of the problems, they're like, what if we made it into a different game? Is kind of how this feels. A new level progression for 4 years. Yeah, I mean, that's because Relic 9 still doesn't feel necessary. Relic 8 still doesn't feel necessary. Like, I get, that's the one piece of Relic Delta that I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, give it a bit damage boost to a higher Relic level. I can see that, especially because, people don't take Relic levels up. And I think it should be a Relic 5 through Relic 9 tier. I don't think Relics, anything below that should be affected. But I think Relic 5 through Relic 9 should have that, a little bit of a damage boost. Because I get that. It's like, Relic 8 and Relic 9 just does not feel good. It just doesn't. It feels like it doesn't do anything except for a couple specific characters. Anyways, this is dude.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Welcome with your Prime sub. Thank you, my friend, for rejoining the damn elite, my friend. what if we created all new problems and ruin how the current game functions, even the players' complaints have nothing to do with what we're fixing? So, okay, we'll get to it. Remind me that specifically at the end, Madness, and we will talk about it. Because there is something there that I think we should talk about. Showcase and reward the power increase, and there was little to no reason to push for higher progression. You are correct. New content usually isn't cheap and it's never free, so we often have to make difficult choices around what gets built. It's bad to introduce new level progression without the content to absorb it. Since there's no reason to invest or use the new level of progression, it's bad to introduce new levels of content without increased progression. Take it on because, well, you can't enter it and complete it. Yeah, but I mean, you also haven't introduced a progression. Like that's the big problem here, is you haven't introduced a progression. Because like if you had made Relic 9s easier to grab, and like you add ways to getting them more, and like made them like not just I have a chance at getting some Relic 9 materials each month from the new assault battles, but like give us a way to farm them and get them like you have other things, then we can prepare for something new. But like you guys haven't taken the steps to make that progression happen. Core problem is that relics don't have a scalable system component promoting and rewarding investment. Yeah, they do, it's just not enough. Like there is a very obvious you should take characters up to Relic 7. There's a very obvious you should take characters up to Relic 5, but there is not a very obvious you should take a character up to Relic 9, and that's the problem here. That's what we're looking at. As much as you want to beat around the bush, someone at Relic 1, we look at that roster and we're like, you're dumb. Stop Relic 1ing your characters, finish your characters. You see a Relic 3 character that's not a support character, you're like, what are you doing? Get it to Relic 5. You know, you see the head of a team and it's not Relic 7, you're like, you are literally a doofus. Like, we have it in the Relic 1 through Relic 7 where we know where things should go, and there is a progression that is important there. The Relic 8 and the Relic 9 is just what doesn't feel right. And so I feel like, I don't know, this is an overcorrection of a simple problem. Have you updated the live stream schedule yet? No, I have not. I just picked up another job, Mr. Pizza, and it's kind of throwing my my life down the drain for the last couple of days, but I will update it. Let's see, what time is it? I'll update it before I go to bed tonight. I should have some time right before I go to bed. What eventually happens to a live service vertical progression game that stops releasing vertical progression? What happens to any live service game when the core gameplay loop is removed? Yes. Yes, you are having this problem. You are having whales leave the game because it's just the same thing of getting the new character, because there is no progression. And we've talked about this. Yes, add progression, but add something new. Make territories great again. Territory wars could be amazing, could give good stuff, could give more Relic 9s, and then people would care about it. And then bada bing, bada bang, bada boom, it doesn't feel like a crap game loop anymore. There's two operational reasons to invest: the stats given on each individual level and content or entry requirements. At some point, the stats have diminishing returns, and requirements can't update as players' rosters evolve. Player invests and unlock entry requirements for content they want to engage. Higher relic levels with scarcer materials, and less likely players are to invest those resources. Yeah, like trying to Relic 9 characters in this economy is impossible, dude. I've been working on just trying to get my Relic 9 Tarkin and Scorch for like the last 3 weeks. It's just not something that's sustainable or possible for people to go for without like investing everything in their account for those Relic 9s. Like, and that's a problem of economy, not a problem of we need to scale up the Relic levels. Particularly, the players don't think Relic 9 is worth investing outside of requirements. It's true. GLs and the occasional tank. Yes, exactly. Relic 9s still lose to Relic 5s just like Relic 8 does. Yes. Relic 9 doesn't make battles in early phases of territory battle meaningfully faster. Yes, very true. R9 doesn't make assault battle challenges, tiers, or proving grounds or other events much easier. Okay, yeah. They're really digging in their heels and saying, we are a vertical progression game. And it's like, it hasn't been that way in years. It has been a horizontal progression gaming for years and years and years. It's not about having one really great team. It's about having a plethora of teams. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Ever since the GAC changes, that's how this game works, is you need to have a whole bunch of good teams. Because sure, in both PvE and PvP content, both solo and group content. I do agree that Relic 8 and Relic 9 feel like they do nothing in PvE at all. In PvP, it makes some counters more stable, and that's about it. I do agree with this. I agree. I just don't get the full change. Shut up, Caracol. You could just say make the stats on R9 bigger, and we'll address that possible approach in just a bit. But the short response to this series of questions: what does that mean for Relic 10? What does that impact Relic 10 mean for Relic 11? Higher Relic levels in the future. How will this be sustainable for multiple future levels of progression? How does an increase in stats on Relic 9 help players below Relic 9? We have to look at the long-term future of relics, not just the levels that players currently own. This sounds like we're getting into Marvel Strike Force level of like, we want Relic 17. And that was like something I appreciated about Swago, is that we kind of had a cap, and that cap didn't move very often. And that I appreciated that. And the other problem is far bigger than protect higher Relic investment, which is as much as revealed to the testers initially. Yes, that is part of the problem, but it's not the whole problem. We need all players having a systematic and scalable game. Wide reason to pursue upward progression. Yes, but if doing that makes it so new players don't want to play your game, like, I feel like that was the thing that needed to be addressed. Okay. With RD, is it promotes tall instead of wide in this. This is a collection game, but now I'm penalized for collecting stuff. I can't R7 immediately. Yes, and like it feels like it's always been a horizontal growth. Like, Marvel Strike Force is the vertical growth game. Marvel Strike Force is that game where you need to, you know, you need to be able to have that one team so you can get your cores every day. This game hasn't been a horizontal, or hasn't been a vertical progression game in, well, since Squad Arena and GAC got redone. I think that was the moment that it started doing that. So, like, I don't know. Okay. Options. Possible solutions. We've seen some suggestions from the community on their way to solve this core problem, albeit without knowing what the problem was. Now that the problem is revealed, let's take a look at what these other options were. Do nothing. The game stays at Relic 9. I don't agree with this. I think a slow progression is the best way of doing this. I do feel like Relic 9 has kind of been sat on for too long. I think we should have gotten economy changes already, and we should have been gearing up for Relic 10. But we've had no economy changes, but I've heard that we're already getting Relic 10. Something in here mentions it, and they are already messaging, you know, scalable Relic levels and everything. Result, players eventually have enough resources to take the entire roster to Relic 9. Yes, there's no level progression, no new challenging content the players can strive to overcome. As a player don't have upward progression, they're going to stop playing. Yes, we get it. We understand. Change Relic stats on existing Relic levels. Relic 9 is updated to add an additional 50 mastery and 100 speed. Result, the value that player receives from their prior investment and upcoming investment goals change. Some characters probably come out winners, but many would certainly be losers. Different characters are impacted to differing degrees, which results in a fractured solution rather than a solidified one. The meta still shifts, potentially drastically. And this is a thing that I agree with. Like, this is something that I think that Relic Delta does kind of nail in the head. Is a lot of people were saying, you know, just up the mastery of the characters. The problem with upping the mastery of the characters is that some of their masteries, upping the mastery is not going to do anything. If I up the mastery on Jedi Training Rey, nothing happens. On Hondo, nothing happens, because like it's just increasing their dodge chance. And sure, I guess that's nice, but it's still going to get countered by the same things that countered it before, essentially. And so, like, you'll get a massive boost from things like SLKR, but other things not so much. Hold on, I need to make this window smaller. There we go. Example, add R10 by itself with no content to support it, with R9 being difficult to acquire. Many wouldn't. Yes, that's what we choose. You made economy changes to Relic 8 as Relic 9 came out, giving us the ability to farm them in, you know, the raid things and changing to raid 2.0 that allowed this to be supported. On the top of few Relic levels. Example, R7 deals 10% more damage, receives 10%. Yeah, this would be, let's see what their response is. This is honestly the closest to these possible solutions came to solving the problem before Relic Delta was chosen. Unfortunately, this does nothing to help players below Relic 7, and even creates a bit of a wall at Relic 7, whereas the value introduced. Additionally, it would need to be removed and shifted up as new Relic levels were introduced. It's increasing plus to minus 40%. It's beyond. CG, you played yourself. You literally said in your thing that a plus or minus of 40% is not workable or scalable, and yet that's what you're pitching with the current numbers. You're pitching more than this for the current numbers for Relic Delta. You are showing that not only you know this is scalable, but this means that the numbers we are seeing aren't the final numbers you guys are planning on. What? What? CG. Okay. Let's go that far so you guys can read it. Okay, where's our spot? Okay. Eventually, a single relic level is unbeatable at any relic level below it, and removing value from players' investment feels terrible. Sometimes it has to be done for the greater good of the game's health, so it's something we relish doing and we avoid it whenever possible. I feel like that's not true with the current numbers that you're pitching for Relic Delta. Relic Delta was conceived about a year ago at this point. The basis of and inspiration for the system actually comes from within our own game. 10 years ago, the game launched with a level Delta system, whereby attacks would be experienced modified crit chance, accuracy, evasion, damage, and resistance chance based on the difference between the attacker's and defender's character levels. Only crit chance and resist chance have any value, so only those two were ever in play. Recognizing the most vertical progression live service games have some kind of delta system to facilitate conquering old content, not pushing too far ahead on higher level content, we decided to update Relic systems to use a similar system. A level delta system is used so broadly because it is incredibly scalable while players are leveling and working towards max progression. The delta sticks with and applies equally to their experience regardless of where they're at. The progression curve. Progression levels are increased. The system accounts for that by automatically applying equally as players, which is a new cap without requiring bandwidth from developers to balance and maintain bespoke bonuses for all players at all relic levels. It speeds up and simplifies older content, predicts newer content and investment, fades the engagement with content, it supports distinction in power level and PvP, it rewards those who have made the climb, promises that your investment of time and resources will be rewarded. The numbers they're talking about is just not sustainable. Like everything that was just stated right here is nullified by a 66% damage decrease. Just gone. I don't know. I don't know. We chose for Relic Delta only applied to damage because we wanted the stats on relic levels themselves to still matter. And yet you leave things like exposes alone, which, okay. Fields will actually still be able to express varied stats based on what the meta needs at the time the relic level is introduced. We've heard the concern around relic delta limiting strategy mods, counters, and theory crafting. It does. We aren't seeing a complete elimination of strategy during either internal testing or the current playtest. Dude, we just had Ewoks beat Lord Vader. Relic, what was it? It was a Relic 9 Ewoks versus a Relic 7 Vader, and the Ewoks won on full auto. What? We fully intend for strategy to continue to be a central aspect of both PvP and PvE content. Yes, Relic Delta eliminates some cases. Gear 12 Malkos beating Relic 8 Ray. But also introduces some strategy around which characters to invest in and by how much based on your usage of them and their place in the larger meta. We are aware that there have been other similar games with what seems like the same concept on the surface, but there are two critical differences that make it more favorable for free-to-play and folks who have invested in Galaxy of Heroes. This system is a gradual curve rather than a massive boost at just one level difference. This system has single progression paths which should be becoming more accessible in the same release rather than requiring investment in multiple disparate systems that have differing rates of accessibility. Yeah, Epsilon. I think you're partially there. Like they've explained their position really well as to like what they're worried about. But I feel like not only in just the sense of what's actually happening and what we want as players, but also just what they're showing with the current changes, the current level of changes. Alternate versions. There are some alternative executions of Relic Delta system. There's some of which were suggested by players similar to above. I want to briefly color why they didn't go kick in later. Results. Introducing consistency in how the system is applied. It's going to kick it down the road depending on the relic level. You already talked about that. Only increase damage, don't decrease it. The higher relic characters deal more damage to lower relic characters, but the lower relic characters deal its normal damage to the higher relic characters. Result, this helps address the problem, but doesn't protect the higher relic character. The glass cannon build in an ARPG, you can add more damage, allowing you to kill things faster. Still die to that one ground effect you step in. You're still susceptible to the same things. It's just more efficient in between dying to the same stuff. It's not holistic enough of an impact. But you're killing one of the greatest resource of punch-up mechanics. You are killing turn meter train teams because they're going to time out. They just are. The Imperial troopers could have a perfect turn meter loop and they will never kill a character. The 66% is what gets me. 200% was ridiculous that they pitched. They went from 95% to 200%. Wild. But 66% still? Dude, you're not going to be able to touch people. These have you unintended effects on undersized squads. Just make sure my guess isn't hopping on yet. Okay, if an R9 SLKR gets weaker because players bring in an R5 General Hux, it feels bad to use Hux even though he synergizes well with SLKR and negatively impacts the player who brings in a weak unit. Dropping the entire squad down rather than just one of the characters to be fed. There's a lot of gamification. Cheesing the system can be done if the average is used. Where does this leave us? With the Relic 10 is being added to the game. There you go. It will use a new signal data, which will not be farmed with energy, so it doesn't disrupt your current signal data farming. Instead, the new signal data will be available in both Scavenger and other game modes. So it's going to be gate locked to endgame players. Got it. You can still do it with Scavenger, but the game modes are all going to be like, you know, getting into a over 300 million guild kind of thing. Finally, there will be a new game mode, new events, and an update to error-related journey guide events, ensuring that all players get to use new characters right away for valuable rewards. We want all players to be able to enjoy the latest characters and content content being released to the game. We hope this context helps our choices around Relic Delta make a bit more sense. I still don't understand. I'm missing a critical piece. People were telling me about how new characters aren't going to need relic levels, and they literally just mentioned it briefly, and we don't know any information about that. Okay. We hope this context helps our choices. This context helps our choices around Relic Delta make a bit more sense. We will monitor the impact of Relic Delta and PvP modes and make adjustments as needed. We're passionate about this game and care about you, our players. As always, we'd love to hear your feedback and your continued feedback on Relic Delta. Until next time, CG Dev Team. Yeah, I said it once, and I will say it again to those who are here right now. If I catch any of you bullying Meathead in his streams, bullying Meathead on Swiggo events, you're gone from the Beaver Dam. I don't care if I have to ban every single person that watches my channel. I will, because bullying the community manager who has no actual, he has no actual power, he's just a messenger, is not okay and will just cause more problems in the relationship between CG and the players. You will be banned from the Beaver Dam if I catch you guys bullying Meathead. Yeah, exactly, Hawksmore. Yeah, I'm sure that he's having a rough time with it. Okay. So we're gonna have, I'm gonna save my thoughts here for a second. We'll talk about my thoughts in just a moment, but I'm gonna save them for a second because the gerbil's gonna join us, and we're gonna discuss this a bit. Hey, Grax, welcome, welcome. But yeah, what is your guys' thoughts? Shoot into the chat and what your guys' thoughts are. Try to explain as thoroughly as possible, and we'll go through each one with Gerbil and kind of talk about it. Wait, didn't Gerbil retire? Kinda. He still makes content every once in a while, but not nearly as often as he used to. Did the EA servers just go down? Couldn't connect to other players. The problem persists. Try restarting the app.
Fix your game. Oh, fix your game. Oh, fix your game. Oh, fix your game. Oh, fix your game, CG. Oh, fix your game, CG. The bugs and the glitches are haunting me. Oh, fix
Is that why? Do they have a new terms and conditions?
Fix your game, MCG. Oh, fix your game, MCG. All your servers found and Tatooine. Oh, fix your game, MCG. Oh, fix your game, MCG. Oh, fix your game, MCG.
This is true, Alan. You're very correct.
But you're supposed to say that you are sorry. Oh, please fix your game.
So yeah, I think they just pushed an update to their terms and service.
Pretty lame. I can't log in to play, but you want me to pay. Oh, fix your game, CG. Oh, fix your game, CG. The bugs and the glitches are haunting me. Oh, fix your game, CG. Oh, fix your
Yay, what are you doing? This is obviously EA. So just trying to get us to basically invest more in other characters. Dude, like, honestly, you look at my roster and I've got like
an
nothing
update dropped.
about.
They fixed their game.
Okay, let's try that one more time. Well, this is trying to load. There we go. Here is my profile. Where is it? Collection. Yeah, and so like you look at this, Relic 9 Lord Vader, sure, but then Relic 7, Relic 7, Relic 7, Relic 7, Relic 7, Relic 7, Relic 8 right here. I have a Relic 9 Darkside Ray just because you guys asked me to Relic 9 Darkside Ray. I have a Jar Jar Binks because you guys donated for a Relic 9 Jar Jar Binks. I have a Relic 9 Joe Casted New because we hit a goal on the channel. I have a Relic 9 Bane just because he's the best character in the game. That was literally my entire reasoning. Mon Mothma was for a guild thing. Commander Ahsoka Tano was for a requirement. Like all of my stuff are basically requirements from either my guild or things that are done, or they were something silly from there's not really a point to Relic 8ing, Relic 9ing characters. There's not. You know, as an endgame player, I would suggest certain ones to make certain things harder to do. You know, Relic 8ing your Chrysanthemum and your Bosch Leia back before they introduced the SLKR Dr. Dre kind of thing was a good strat. And so there's like a couple things that made sense. But like, I don't know, it's just it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. CG, make it make sense. I feel like you insinuated a couple things to assuage us, and you kind of admitted something. Hey, there we go. Looks like it's working now. You guys kind of admitted something. Like they literally straight up admitted that 40% is not scalable and something that's possible to do. Anything above 40% doesn't make sense. And yet the numbers that they portray, let me see if I can find those numbers. Come on, where are they? Yeah. No. Can someone help me out real quick? I'm a little confused. Is 40% above or below 66%? Is 40% above or below 200%? I'm having some trouble doing some math. Maybe I should message Agnards. Agnards is 40 above or below 66? Same question. Now we'll just say, and is 40 above or below 200? I'm not a math guy. Okay. Okay, let's see what Agnard says in response. Recognized, so restricted. Those are numbers. Appreciate it, Agnards. I appreciate you. Yes, those are in fact numbers. In a particular but seemingly random order. Agnards, you're not helping. I need you to help me understand how this math works. Yeah, Relic, so we have to be selective where we spend them. If we had more Relic 9s to go around, we could play with more interesting choices outside of requirements. Yeah, 100%. Like, Relic 8s and Relic 9s are still pretty rough. And Relic 8s should be moving into the area where they feel like Relic 7s. And Relic 9s should be moving into the area where they feel like Relic 8s. But it doesn't feel that way at all. Flicked 100 less will be...
We would be honored if you would join us.
Parallel Bradley coming in with the 4 months with the Prime subscription, my friend. Thank you so much. However many on YouTube, yeah, who knows at this point. You'd have to do your super chat message to see. Just here for a minute since it's 2:30 a.m., but Relic Delta as portrayed is just bad, like using a cucumber to hammer nails. Yes, 100%. You're gonna harm the cucumber more than the nail. Oh, here it goes. I normally pop on because I love you, Beaver, but all this already stuff, my wife has been neglected. Fair enough, dude. Fair enough. But what about the numbers? Is 40 more than 200? Is this a Relic Delta conversation? Yes, I just read through the entirety of the thing. I had never read it before. We just read through the entirety of the Why Relic Delta post because I didn't have time to watch any videos the last couple of days or read through it. So we read through it live and started talking about it. This would make Rabid Beaver an absolute requirement for all GAT characters. Otherwise, you won't have a chance. I agree, Epsilon. I am a requirement for every character. Now, Grax calls me R8 because I used to get RB and R8 confused in chat all the time. So, yeah. But this would make Relic 8 an absolute requirement for all GAT characters. Otherwise, they won't have a chance. You're not wrong. Feel better about it? Not really, no. Like, it just kind of confirmed what I already assumed, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Agnard, so I confirmed 40 is 40% more than 200%. And he said, no. Is this a trick question? So the math guy has spoken, guys. 40% is not... bigger than 200%. 40% So what they are saying here, since this won't work, let me pull this up again. Scalability, where is it? Possible solutions, here we go. Right here. Additionally, it would need to be removed and shifted to new relic levels, since increasing to plus or minus 40% and beyond isn't scalable. Isn't scalable. So they're saying 40% isn't scalable, but yet these are their current numbers. And it has been confirmed to me. I double checked. I asked Egnards, and he was so gracious as to answer me. 40% is in fact less than 200%, and is in fact less than 66%. I'm confused, CG, are you? So it looks like, well, let me double check. See if he's responded. Okay, it looks like, unfortunately, gerbils stuff is not working at the moment, which is sad. But yeah, sorry. Looks like that he's not going to be joining us. So let me explain to you what I'm reading here. I think they bring up some good points. I do think that there's some issues with the relic levels that don't feel great, especially Relic 8 and Relic 9. I 100% get that. I agree with that, honestly. Adding in Relic 10 just out of nowhere is obviously not going to change anything, but that's because of them, not because of anything else. In the same way that they made Relic 8 more viable now, and made Relic 7 more viable when Relic 9 came out, they could have very easily been leading up to Relic 10 with making Relic 9 easier to get and Relic 8 easier to get. Instead, they're kind of trying to do it all at once and claim that there was a problem there. And introduce this new thing. Now, overall, they're switching from a horizontal progression to a vertical progression. Now, the way that I can see this being a good thing, if this works to some degree, that we could be looking at a new player comes in and they get one team and it carries them again. Because at the current moment, you're seeing players who are just like, you know, they're coming in and they're facing people with lightspeed bundles. Now, what if those people that are coming into the game were to go for their first GL and then they get that first GL Relic 9? Then they can basically throw it on defense and let it just tank the hits, because it's going to beat the players who are, you know, not investing in their farms, and so it could give free to play an edge. But that's only if they make Relic 9 much easier to get and that type of thing. Overall, I don't think this feels good, period. What I read out of this, what comes out of this, I really wish I could say more, and I wish I had someone to discuss this with. I think this is just another confirmation that the original numbers that they planned on saying and everything that's here, all of this was to spark outrage. They're trying to spark outrage in the community with the initial numbers that everyone loses their mind, and now they bring up the second set of numbers that they already had planned, and I'm sure there'll be a third, a fourth, and a fifth set, bringing down the numbers into a manageable range where we'll be okay with them. And now, would we be okay with the initial numbers if they were lower? I don't think so, and I think that's what they're trying to mitigate. Is they're trying to basically, by releasing the bad news first, then describing it with this, and then releasing successive numbers, even though they're saying the content creators are testing them. Obviously, the content creators are testing these things. I don't think they're going to be listened to. I think that we're just going to continue to see CG be like, we listened, here's another set of numbers. We listened, here's another set of numbers. And by having the content creators do the testing, they're essentially making it so that way it looks like they're listening when they're just doing an extended rollout that allows them to make this change without us being too upset. I think that, yes, CG was trying to rage bait us. That is a good way of putting it, Yoder. They were trying to rage bait us so that way they could reel us back in by placating us. I 100% think that that's the case. Gerbil announces full retirement 2 days later. We'll be the best GL of the game with a full Relic 9 squad, and it won't be close. It'd be interesting to see what team kind of comes out on top. Okay, Gerbil looks like he got his stuff working, so we are going to pull the Gerbil in and hear his thoughts. I will discuss what Egnards is saying and with him specifically. First few Datacron sets were also busted, yeah. The original numbers were what's called anchoring. They were terrible, so the numbers they want look more reasonable, even though they're not. Let's see. Anchoring definition. Anchoring numbers. Let's see if we got this. Okay. Okay.
Hey, you there?
Yes, I am. Let me pull you in real quick.
Took me 20 minutes to open Discord.
Love it. I've had to like full reset my system before to trying to get that going correctly. Oh, I can do that from there. That's cool. And there we go. And voila, there is the wonderful gerbil. It's good to see you, my friend. How are you doing?
Hey, doing okay, man. Doing okay.
Oh, did not mean
There we go. Trying to get a couple of different sites open, just so I'm not hunting and gathering a bit, I hope.
Did they say if Delta will be based on each character, average of the team? They specifically said that average of the team would not work and that they are doing specific characters. So,
yeah, it's character to character.
Yeah, which will specifically make JML significantly worse. Just because his call to assists will be based off of the character being called, and so the damage will be reduced. So, unfortunately, that's one that Scribe was talking about. That I was like, oh, that's really sad. Especially in like Conquest.
Except, hang on, let me go read, because I remember Scribe talking about that, and I didn't agree initially. Let me read it real quick. The Jedi lessons. No, I don't want that one. There we go. To assist, dealing 90% less damage. Then they deal true damage to target based on 60%. I don't know why the assists. Why that's going to affect Luke, because when you use inherited teaching, the ally that assists, they themselves do 90% less damage of their own basic when they attack. I get that. But at the same time, no. Yes. At the same time, they're dealing true damage. Oh, they are the attacker.
Yep.
They're dealing true damage based on 6% of Luke's damage. And so if they have a damage reduction after damage is calculated, yep, that's going to screw them.
Yeah, so all characters, if you're, for instance, you're using your Relic 5 Hoda because you've never seen a reason to bring Hoda up any higher, you are going to get a 66% damage reduction on the tail end of that.
And that's me. My Hoda is R5.
Yep, I'm right there as well. Also, this is interesting. I've never seen this before. Apparently, when I open up games, it'll show the video of people that are in the Discord with me. This must be a newer setting on Discord. So now I have two of you on screen.
Well, that's great. That's what your fans are going to want, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I think so too. Since most of us have teams with different levels of relics, we will see some characters be deleted as we never see. Yeah, I think there's like, I mean, obviously with like Hux, for instance, it's not going to matter to have a Relic 5 Hux because he's just there to call assists, pass turns around. That's really not going to affect anything. But we will see, you know, some characters kind of fall off pretty harshly because there's not really a reason to bring them up in Relic level, I think. You are not part of the playtest, right, Gerbil?
No.
Okay. I had a question for you. Do you think that, because like the way that I've been looking at this as I'm trying to get into this game, the EA servers went down right as I was opening it. The way I'm looking at it and the way I've looked at it since kind of the second set of numbers came out is that these are pre-prepared numbers and that they're kind of just releasing the thing that's going to upset us first and then slowly lowering them. Do you think that that's kind of what they're shooting for?
Yes, and I think that they're deliberately using the content creators to do their own job. Quite honestly, they're not engaging with the community directly on this. They're using the YouTube creators as a side channel or an intermedium rather, and they're using us to collect their data rather than just polling people. Now, that's not necessarily bad because that does build community, but it does put a lot of us kind of in the crosshairs. Like, you know, most people are really cool about it. We're not recording yet, are we?
Oh, yeah, we're fully live.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So it kind of puts us in the crosshairs in that, like, most people are really cool. And I just did a video on this last night, and I got several people commenting that said, yeah, I'm kind of in a wait and see mode, which I think is the right way to take this. I think that you should be, like, if you don't like it, should absolutely be, you know, vocal about it through Reddit, Discord, EA forums, whatever community you're in. But at the same time, there have been a lot of people that have just attacked, and I've seen comments. Ironically, I'll throw Scribe's name out. I've seen comments on videos for Scribe that literally say, you are a CG troll. And other people are like, I love you for telling the truth and standing up to CG. And it's just like, you know, literally both ends of the spectrum there. Whereas if Capital Games had done their own proper marketing research and community engagement, at least those negative comments wouldn't be falling on us. You know, I don't do my channel for profit. I just do my channel for fun, right? I don't post regularly or whatever. So when I start getting some of those kind of negative comments, which I do from time to time, like it really hurts. I take it kind of personally. So I try not to get overly involved, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that is the best place to be at, because like as we talked about, it does feel like a purposeful inflammation at the beginning, just to let them kind of settle on a final number that's not nearly as bad, but like is still more than we would have accepted in the initial, like if they were just to release it and be like, this is what we're doing. But like it remains to be seen how bad that number is.
Right, and like so I was just, when I did my own video, I didn't have the actual relic differential numbers in front of me, and I think I'm looking at the right one here. I think this one was posted by Agnards. I don't know the original source, but it's showing that the relic delta differential is ±5, and the damage offset as of 9/26, so September 26th, so about a week ago, was that if you have an advantage of +5 relics over your opponent, then you're going to deal 66% more damage after damage is calculated. But if you have a disadvantage where you are 5 relics below, you're going to deal 200% less damage. Now do you understand how that works? I mean,
I think it's the other way around. So 200% more damage and then 66% less damage is, I think, what
that would make a whole lot more sense.
Yeah, I think that's what.
Okay, I see. Okay, so gotcha. So I'm reading this top to bottom, and I got to invert my head on this one then. Okay, so then yeah, if you have a +5 relic, you'll do 66% more damage. No, you will do 200% more damage if you have a +5 relic, and then if you have a -5, you'll do 66% less.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, you're going to hit for 1/3 of your maximum damage.
And there's certain counters that are going to become like, they're still going to work fully, but they're going to become 2-shots. Like for instance, Finzori. If this goes through, Finzori's not going to be affected because they're all based off of exposes, and those type of damages apparently are based off of the enemies actually dealing damage to themselves, and so it actually won't affect any of this. Which means like you go up against Ahsoka, for instance, and even though you can't quite kill Ahsoka because you're dealing 66% less damage, which is the same kind of thing as when I go against a high defense Kron version of them. I can't get through Ahsoka, but you're still going to blast through the rest of the team because they're not immune to health damage effects. And so I think put stuff in weird areas, I think.
Tanks with high relics and high defense and crit avoidance are going to be downright impossible to kill with anything of low relics, it seems. I mean, like, Nihilus can still one-shot. I'm pretty sure you'll still be able to annihilate or disintegrate with Mando, but I think tanks in general are just going to become much, much harder to kill.
Yeah, I'm honestly worried, especially after hearing the initial this was the 95%. So this was the initial numbers that they were talking about. Hearing Scribe talk about how he threw in a solo cup against a Relic 5 Leia team, and it was 3.5 minutes before Cup died. Like, he never took a turn, but still, like, that's scary. And that sounds like to me, because like if this was just Relic 5 to Relic 9, because that's what they were talking about in the initial announcement for this. I don't know if I can find the initial announcement offhand.
Yeah, I was looking for it as well. So I'm sending you a screenshot here. I don't know if you want to open and see it. This is what I talked about in my video last night. It's a spreadsheet I put together, just kind of comparing my own relic pairings of my last 5v5 full GAC event. I looked at both my attacks and my opponent's attacks against my defense. And so this is specifically from my attacks. And what I remember Scribe saying was that Capital Gains said that across all GAC there was only a 3% difference in terms of net relic attacks versus the defender's relic levels. And I just thought, no, I don't agree with that, not even remotely. So what I did is I just plotted out the battles, typed out the relic levels of my characters, took an average, looked at my opponent's relics, took an average, looked at the difference. And those differences, if you just look at a straight team average, they're not bad, like 1, 1, 2, 0, whatever. But then if you look at the min-max differences, the ranges of the individual characters, some of them are quite substantial. Like I had one battle here, if you're looking at that same spreadsheet that I just sent a screenshot of, battle number 4 has parity in terms of relic levels. Like my team is relic 7.5, 8.87, average 7. The opponent is 7.93, 7.7, average rounds up to a 7. So CG, according to their math, said there's no difference in relics. Yet there is a relic differential of 5 in there. And that whatever that relic 3 character is, it's 5 relics below my 2 8s. And they have a 9, which is going to basically walk over my 5 7s. So while I won that battle, I'm not entirely confident that I would, going back, or whatever the banners that we anticipate are going to be a whole, banners are a whole new ball game. How many banners GSC are you going to be able to manage? Because, historically, say you put in, I'm just going to throw out a legacy character, Wedge. Okay, Wedge has absolutely no place, I think, in modern meta. However, let's say you're one of those weirdos who has a Relic 9 Wedge, and I would love to include myself in there, but no, not happening. If he's a Relic 9, he's going to throw out an AoE that's going to be devastating to lower Relic characters, and that gives him some viability. However, if it's the flip side, like even now, you could put him on defense and hope to just AoE right before the end of the battle and strip some banners away. But if he's low enough relic now, he's not going to do very much damage, and then maybe Hoda just does one basic and full heals, right? So the reality is that if you just look at these averages, it doesn't look that bad. But if you look at a team per team, unit per unit breakdown, and you consider the impact of high-low damage and relative healing, then this Relic Delta introduces all kinds of compounding challenges. I think another great example that comes to mind is Kylo Ren Unmasked, who I believe what he heals 8%, right, every time he's damaged. So as a tank, if he's Relic 9, and let's just say he's got 200,000 health, he's going to heal for 16k every turn. And yet, historically, a Relic 5 character might be able to hit him for 20, 25, 30,000. So he's going to slowly lose health. But now that Relic 5 with the Relic Delta difference is going to be hitting him for, next to nothing, a third of that. So they're going to hit him for 5 and he's going to heal 16. He will literally be impossible to beat by a low Relic character.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I can find the video I made from, do you remember the last time SLKR crons came around?
Not the Raycron, but what was the mechanic?
Like the Special Forces TIE Pilot cron with level 6 and all of that. You remember that?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if
I remember it being annoying. I don't remember what it did.
Because I know I made a video during that time, but I can't remember how far back that was, and it's a pain to try and search it because all of my old videos are hard to search by because I'm trying to, get them out there as much as possible. But back then, it was a 200% damage increase to SLKR after he did his first swipe. And so, literally just looking at that, you literally would just watch him just one tap, every team, period.
Oh, right. I think it was 5 or 10. I think, forgive me, I'm probably wrong, but I think it was a 5 or 10% offense or damage increase per relic level across the entire team.
Yeah.
So
and
I think that it was 5%.
Increased crit damage by 20% per person that is hit or something like that. Like it was crazy. But it's essentially what you're giving these characters is like that jump in damage without any repercussions, anything that they need to hit or anything. And so like in the way of SLK Archon, you had to like, you know, AoE, and then you had to pass a turn back to him and AoE again to get the like one tap of it. But it's like looking at that video, I like you watch it and you watch how SLKR interacted with characters back then. It's just literally he just kills everything. And so giving that to every character,
and that's where we're heading, especially
Dash Rendar's triple hit AoE Heinricher, like you're mentioning. Yeah, like it's gonna be wild.
Yeah, and the thing though, the difference here, of course, is that Relic Delta is permanent, whereas Datacrons get dusted every 3 or so months, right? So those come out, we get to experience some OP nonsense, love it or hate it. It goes away, whereas these don't. And I think though that the combination though of that really high modifiers of Datacrons with Relic Delta really exasperates the nature of the problem. Right, so like I'm looking at I have one Datacron here from the new, what is this? The Whispers of Wealth, the new Datacron set, and it's first order. It's already got plus 90% critical damage with 4 rolls, and then the level 6 says whenever a first order ally has full health and protection at the start of their turn, they deal 100% more damage. So add that onto a Relic difference and same situation. Slicker's just going to go turn 1, swipe, done.
Yeah. I actually finally found it. So the original version of this Kron is whenever a first order ally scores a critical hit, the leader gains 10% offense. So SLKR gains 10% offense, stacking up to 200% until the end of the encounter. And if the leader scores a critical hit, they gain an additional 10% offense. And so essentially what this means is, in this case, 200% just off of the first swipe, because, you know, he's critically hitting and then he's also gaining this offense. And like the stuff that he would do, like right there, hold on, let's see, can I slow this down to a spot where I can show this on stream for everyone real quick? Hold on. Because this is like 5 times speed in the background of a video, because I don't have this, like I didn't do this on stream or anything. It's so fast that it's not in the frame. But literally full health GTR, full health Finn, full health Ben, full health BB-8, and then it's 3/4 health Ray. Like everyone is full health, full protection except for Ray, and then 1 swipe and everyone's dead, and Ray is in damage immunity at 1 health. Like, this is essentially what Relic Delta at Relic 9 would look like, which wild. It just doesn't, like, I don't know. It doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense to me.
No, I don't think it does. And I think that it diminishes the value of having character stats that are just beyond strictly offense, defense, damage dealing, right? It's just like if you're literally hitting for hundreds and hundreds % more damage or unable to do any damage, then what's the point of having all the different stats between, you know, armor penetration, resistance penetration, tenacity, potency, accuracy, et cetera, et cetera. Like it also, you know, kit synergies don't seem to make a whole lot of difference either, right? Again, taken back to your R9 cup that a lot of people have at Relic, you know, because of the $5 Lightspeed meme bundle.
Yeah.
You know, if you just put that into any squad that's going to further boost him through a little bit of kit synergy, which I know that contradicts what I just said, but if you just put him in some random squad of high relics, it's going to time out anything in GAC against something that's not of equal relic levels. Like I have had a full
Padme with that just sounds gross.
Right. Padme lead or Queen Amidala, right? Don't need high relics there. Just to delay the game a little bit more with the summons. Um, yeah, I have had Relic 9 Ewoks for a long time now, partly as a meme, but it's also my favorite faction. Yes, I'm just weird like that. But I don't want my Ewoks winning because I just threw a whole bunch of Relic 9s on them. Like I actually had to spend a lot of resources to do that, so it wasn't exactly easy for me, but I don't care. I really like to win based on the feeling of accomplishment and like strategizing and knowing how to mod right, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm actually really worried that I'm going to think about all the time and effort I put into maximizing my understanding of their kits and synergies. And I'm going to put them on defense and I'm just going to go, oh, look, you failed again and again and again and again because strategy doesn't matter anymore. Like that I'm really just depressed by that.
Like that.
But again, I'm
that's the
trying
big
to.
thing. I feel like when it comes to free to play, that feels good about this game because like I know how to play, I know how to mod, I can strategize around these teams. That's why I've always preferred this game over things like Marvel Strike Force and other games that I've played, is because it feels like there's a level of cool stuff that I can do, and I feel like that might get taken away with these changes.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely, to a very large extent, getting taken away. I mean, if I were to just randomly throw a number at it, I would say like 75% of the known strategy will be lost. Now, of course, if we are looking at relic parity, strategy comes back in, right? Certain teams are not going to beat other teams no matter what. There's always going to be some room, but that's assuming relic parity, which, just from looking at the battles of my own data that I collected from Swaga.gg, relic parity does not really happen. Like it almost never happens. I think in the spreadsheet I shared last night, let's see, 13 and 22. So out of 35 battles, only 4 of them had an average relic parity. But in all of those 4, there was some character that had a plus or minus 3 or higher differential, I think.
Yeah,
which is going to
we've never been encouraged to
skew
do that
that.
kind of thing. Like it's never been a thing that we need to do. There's never been a reason for me to bring my Basilishan Fallen above like Relic 3. Like I did it recently just because I have the room in my roster too. But like in the words of Arnold, he was literally would get so upset at people in stream when they'd be like, dude, Relic 7 your Jedi Knight Revan. And he's like, why? I beat SLKR with it. I have no reason to ever Relic 7 this character. By that logic, I'd have to Relic 7 every character in my roster. He does have a Relic 7 Jedi Knight Revan now, but that's beside the point. Like it's just, there's not a reason, because you could just do everything that you needed to do, and the level of disparity feels like it's going to be insane.
In that design fireside chat that CG posted to explain all this, they talked a lot about that eventually everybody could reach, maximum relic across their whole roster. And I guess theoretically that's true, and we would all have relic parity, but I think that realistically that's never going to happen, right? There's over 300 characters in game, and they continue to add one about every 10 days on average when you include conquest and legendaries, etc. And so in that line, like I think I looked and I have 29 relic 9s, and I'm almost 14 million GP, and I've been playing for 8.5 years. Right, so it's that we're never going to get there. So the introduction of Relic 10 also, which is I think okay, I'm fine with that, and we all saw that coming. Though I think that also works against almost everything that they've stated. That by adding Relic 10, it further expands the range of potential Relic Delta impacts. Right, so used to be if you had a Relic 7, you were only maximum 2 away. Well, now you're going to be maximum 3 away from a potential opponent. So that becomes pay to play. That like I'm not going to pay I don't believe to Relic 10 anything except for maybe my Ewoks again, because that's my meme that I love.
Yeah.
But I just, the Relic 10 is appropriate, I think. The Relic 10 being introduced at the exact same time as providing this Relic Delta feature seems to be counterproductive. And they did say that they're going to make Relic materials more readily available, but I don't know that they provided detail on that, did they?
No, they kind of like swept everything under the rug. They're like, oh yeah, newer characters aren't going to require relic levels, and we're going to give you more stuff, and some stuff will be added to the scavenger. And they didn't really give us any specifics. They mentioned new events and things like that. Really didn't give us anything specific to really. It was kind of like, I don't know. Have you ever met someone who like you call them out on something they do, like let's say they're just like a scumbag to strangers, right? Or just an easy one. You call them out and be like, hey, you're kind of come off as abrasive, and they're like, yeah, I know. And it's like, so you're just never planning on fixing that? Like, it just kind of feels like they've identified the problem, and they're proud of themselves that they identified the problems that we have. They're not going to give us any response. They're not going to change anything, but they're just like, hey guys, look, we know what the problems we have are. We know that we're scumbags. Doesn't mean I'm going to change. It's just I took that first step and identified the problem.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly what this comes across as. And I don't even agree that a lot of what they said is necessarily a problem.
Yeah,
I just don't quite get it.
The Relic 10 thing where they're like, the scalability, and, you know, like you brought in Relic 9 really simply. And yes, I do think that there's a disparaging amount of problems where, like, it's just like, you look at Relic 9, you're like, dude, this doesn't feel necessary at all. And so I do think, like, to a certain degree, like a damage increase or something along those lines to, you know, boost Relic 8, Relic 9 does feel okay for sure. But then like they're talking about how, the current system doesn't work. I'm like, no, it worked when you brought in Relic 9. You made Relic 7 and Relic 8 more easy to grab, and then you introduced Relic 9. But for Relic 10, you're just saying, hey, we know we haven't put any of the systems in place that, you know, we did for Relic 9 where we made it easier to get and everything like that, but we're gonna drop Relic 10 and then say, hey buddy, it doesn't feel good, and so we gotta change how these things work. And it's like, you could have just given us the support systems to make Relic 9 easier and then make Relic 10 the hard thing to get, and you're in the same boat that you were for Relic 9. But instead it's just like, we're not going to do what we did before to support the Relic 10 launch, but then we're going to say, look, there's a problem. And it's like, yeah, the problem was you didn't build into Relic 10.
Yeah. I had a bit of an epiphany moment earlier this morning, and I was contemplating what is the real problem that CG is facing. And I think that, as several people pointed out, that post had the word investment over and over and over and over again. I think the real problem they're facing is probably their overlords are saying, hey, we need to see more revenue out of this. Money, 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 which is natural. I mean, it's a capitalist. Well, it's the name of the game, Capital Games, right? And
yeah,
it's a company, they're for profit. That makes sense. Okay, so they want more money. And I think what they're doing with Relic Delta is they're trying to find a way to get more money out of the existing player base by saying, hey, late gamers, mid gamers, grow your relics faster. And hey, early gamers, look at this. If you just have more relic, you're going to walk all over your opponents, which is only true to a very minimal extent because GAC is actually designed to keep you winning, losing 50% of the time. So the idea of even investing to get an advantage over your opponents it's fictional at best. I mean, it's systems made to not give you an advantage. So they're trying to take more money from the existing player base. Okay. I think the bigger problem is that what they need to do is grow the player base. They need to expand the audience, not take from the audience. Like I already buy the monthly Era Pass. I already buy the Conquest Pass, and right there, that's $30 a month, right? That's hefty and a lot more than I think 90% of players want or are willing to spend. So trying to just take more and more, I think, is very much the wrong direction. They need to grow the player. They need to have more new faces in there, which is why they brought in Lightspeed bundles. So they definitely are trying this, and now they're making them permanent. That makes sense. I think a better solution might be, especially for new accounts, maybe when you create a new account, maybe once every 2 or every 4 weeks, you get to pick a legacy character, say at Relic 5, just free in your account. That gives people an immediate something to engage with. It gives them exposure to opportunities, right? And this is just brainstorming, but like
that's exactly what I thought Lightspeed tokens were going to be, was that they would give us like 1 Kyber Lightspeed token a month if you beat the pass, like got through the episode pass. I'm like, oh, that's sick. Like that would be such a helpful thing. And they're like, nah, it's going to be these crap Relic 1 5-star ones. It's like I would have suggested to every new player that they buy the $20 bundle because they get 1 legacy character at Relic 5 each month. Like, that's incredible. Mm-hmm. But nope, it's not. It's just another way to try and monetize, and like it's not a catch up. And like I have this graph here behind me. Here, let me take a screenshot so I can send it to you. I'm not sure if you have my stream up and running, so.
Stream's not keeping up with you over here. My Wi-Fi bandwidth is really limited in China.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Well, actually, the bandwidth, that's an interesting one. The Chinese internet is blazingly fast. It's way faster than when I go home to Oklahoma or travel around the US. I honestly think it's incredibly fast. The problem is it's really, really slow if you're accessing a lot of foreign websites through a VPN, like YouTube, Discord, etc. Right. As long as you're staying local, man, it's incredible.
Makes sense.
Hey, look, you sent a chart.
Yeah, so this is...
Okay, so what is it?
They claim this is the concurrent player chart, which it's not. It's based off of total amount of downloads per month on Google Play versus Apple. But even if we were to cut out the fact that someone somewhere is always starting a new free-to-play account, and these are just, half of these are alts. Like in May, when they were doing their Order 66 ad campaign and everything, they got 4.2 million downloads. And like that is a lot of new downloads, and yet where did that all go? Because obviously we have about 300,000 concurrent players right now, and like you look at these, and each month you're seeing 2.3, 2.5, 2.5, 3.1. like you are seeing some insane download numbers of this game on Google Play and Apple Store, which would be more consistent with not doing alts, because it's much harder to do an alt through Apple. You're still seeing in May and June 1.6, 1.8 million new downloads. And so like these players could be something they could be tapping into and getting them in and having a solid thing for them, but instead they're kind of like building this farther jump that people have to deal with. Like even if you buy the Lightspeed bundles, you're still going to get wrecked, because you're going to be going up against people who've been playing and sitting in Carbonite that have Relic 7s, 8s, and 9s just because they don't enjoy GAC, or they are coming back to the game, and so you're still kind of getting screwed on that. So GAC I think is an immediate turnoff to most players as soon as they unlock it. Really
absolutely
quick. The letter G by itself in any capacity will ban you in my chat. I apologize, Jimmy Bean, but it's a protection against certain types of trolls in chat. So just avoid the letter G by itself.
I want to know more about that, but we can talk about it later.
Yeah,
because I'm rather.
Yeah,
that's another oddity of living in China for so long, is I am so behind when it comes to slang and pop culture trends or whatever, the good and the bad. I'm just like, people pop up the new trending hip hop star, and I'm like, who? What? Okay. I'm so behind. I have no idea. I'm vanilla.
I mean, to be fair, I'm way behind too, but that's because I'm getting, to the point where I'm not interacting with young people at all.
Oh, no, don't say that. Well, I'm a teacher, so I see the kids daily, but even still, my clientele is quite different. So like I'm looking at Darth Vader relic data, and I haven't scraped this whole player relic data table off of SWGOH in a long time, but Darth Vader was for the longest time the most relic character in game, and I suspect he still is. And there's still only about 436,000 relic Darth Vaders in game. And so I do wonder, like, are new accounts, new players, are they relicking Vader or are they skipping and moving on? I don't know, but I think that that's a much more accurate representation of player base size. I would also expect that a solid 15% of those are no longer active players. So if you take off another 63,000 or so, you're down to about 370,000 active players. Mm-hmm. And then you can even look at the number of, in the GAC counter guide, for example, on swaga.gg, like if you go to counters, there's another way to kind of gauge active player base. There were 2.56 million battles last 5v5. And if you, like the Kyber level where I am, you have, if you full clear win without a drop, you have 11 squad and 3 fleet, so 14 battles. But realistically, people are going to drop, and sometimes they drop 5, 6, 7, myself included, 8 battles. Mm-hmm. So I think it's fair to say that the average player probably has anywhere from 10 to 20 battles per GAC. So even if you just drop that, if you divide that 2.5 million by, 15, I think you get another rough estimate of the number of accurate players are in there. Let's do that. 2,560,123 divided by 15. Yeah, it's 170,000 players if you assume 15 battles per GAC.
Yeah, the way that Arnold did it, I thought was pretty solid idea overall for kind of counting how many total active was how many people interacted with the marquee. So that's at least once in the week that the Rogue One was out. So that would be a total player count of, let's see, does it have a full number?
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah, so that's what, 240, 300. Ooh, that's roughly 330,000 total active players.
If I'm reading this right, though. Oh no, that's top 100 guilds. Okay, I got really scared there because I only saw.
No, I saw the same thing. I was like, oh yeah, 321,497 is the grand total for total number of Rogue Ones in the game right now.
Yeah, that seems a lot more in line with my thinking, and that's also back to my point is that they need to grow the player base, not just keep taking from the existing, right? It's just like in economics. So my undergrad is actually in economic policy. In economics, it's very, very easy for people to assume that the only way you can get more money in an economy is if you take it from someone else, right? You think of a piece of a pie. How do you get a bigger piece of the pie? Well, that means you take something from someone else. They get a smaller piece, you get a bigger piece. Well, that's not really true. It is a true example, but the better solution is you grow the pie, right? Mm-hmm. If you have a 10% piece of a small pie, then you get a 10% piece of a pie that's twice as big. You don't just have twice as much pie. You have an exponentially larger piece of pie. It's growing the pie is beneficial for everybody involved. And I think that CG is not actively focused on growing the pie they're trying to take.
And with this,
and
they've done a great job over the last 2 years of making the free-to-play players be light spenders. They did a fantastic job with that, with light speed bundles, with how nice the episode pass is. They've done a great job of making a lot of people spend money that normally wouldn't. They've taken advantage of their current player base. What would make sense to me would be increasing the player base. To them, it's like, oh, we want to squeeze more out of the top area. But I feel like like, this is Star Wars. This is Star Wars. This graph that I sent you, this is like, sure, we're gonna see this and be like, oh yeah, they did Order 66 stuff around that time of the year. Sure, December, you know, is when the anniversary of the game comes around, is November, so they're gonna pick up their advertising. But a lot of this is just due to the fact that it's Star Wars. People are gonna download the game, and if you make a good game that people enjoy, people are gonna continue to play, and then you'll get them to spend. Finding a new whale is not something that's easy to do. But if you find a new whale, you're making a constant source of income all of a sudden. So
right, yeah. I mean, for every new 1,000 players, there's probably going to be one whale in there. So they need to increase this by 10, 30,000, and then there they go. They've got their new yacht.
Like that's
ideally they need to trim even higher.
Yeah, and like you see the other games, like Marvel Strike Force is dying. It's slowly dying. CG has managed to double their value over the last couple of years with Lightspeed bundles, and that's a huge, like, amazing change, because it was a downward decline on their overall how much they're making because the player base is going down. And so, like, I don't know. I feel like the position they're taking, what they're trying to go for, seems just a little off, seems a little different. I would be going for these new players because you say you were in economics, correct me if I'm wrong, it's less expensive and better to retain your current customers than trying to find new customers, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. New customers are always more expensive. However, the more new customers you get, the more longevity you have potential for.
And like the CG's running ad campaigns that are showing off just random comps. They're hiring content creators who have never played the game before. They're making ads that are like, the other day, this was probably like 8 months ago, I saw the 8-year anniversary ad on my YouTube channel. That was like, I was watching something on my personal YouTube, and I was like, the 8-year anniversary was a year and a half ago.
Yeah, that's outdated. But I think another fundamental flaw that they're having right now also that is not maintaining active growth is that they continue to focus on fundamentally niche characters and niche additions to the game. Like, I actually really enjoyed the Pirates because I loved Skeleton Crew. I really, really loved Skeleton Crew. I thought it was a great show. That said, Skeleton Crew is an absolute niche within the Star Wars universe, right? If you look at the spending breakdown, and I don't remember where I saw this, but the people who have the most disposable income to spend in this game are not younger people. They are not in their 20s. They are honestly in their 40s and 50s. And that's actually, the analytics from my own YouTube channel show that the majority of people watching my channel, and I bet if you look at yours too, are probably similar. They're probably people in their mid 40s into their 50s. They're people that have grown up with Star Wars and everything from the original series to the prequels and which one came? Yeah, the prequels and then the sequels, right? And to that, I think if you poll the larger Star Wars fandom, which measures in the tens or hundreds of millions of people globally, you poll them about what excites them, and it's Darth Vader, and it's Luke, and it is Rey, and it is, to an extent, it's the movies, basically. Mandalorian has been wildly popular, but like, what are we getting? We're getting Dark Side Clone Troopers, which is great and loved among our smaller community. But to the average fan out there, they couldn't name a single clone. They don't care about the individual. Like, they like the idea of being able to play with an army of clones, but they're not going to know their names. They don't care. So when you look at it that way, and you come into the game and you're like, oh man, I just can't wait to get my Millennium Falcon. Oh man, I got Han Solo. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. And then you realize, well, no, not for another 2.5 years when you get your profundity up and running. And even then, you have to learn a very, very specific strategy. Otherwise, it's going to get dominated by this thing called Sith Empire that you've probably never heard about, that happened 1,000 years before Han Solo. Let me teach you the whole backstory. And then right there, I think you lose a lot of the audience. They're like, what? What the hell are you talking about? Han? No, no, no. This is Han Solo. I want Han Solo. I want to play Han Solo, right?
Yeah. So
And
I
the
only have about 5 more minutes before I gotta get going, but I wanna push on this thing you were saying right now though. With that idea of I want to play Han Solo, you could look at Relic Delta being a good thing in that case because of the fact that then, you know, my Relic 8 Han Solo is going to perform better. And so you could see this as like a meta shift to make it so people can enjoy the characters they want a bit more. So it might be like a shift towards trying to bring in new players in that sense. Do you think that's a valid thing, or do you think that's just me being hopeful and making an excuse for CG?
No, I think that there's absolutely the upside that, going back to my comment earlier about Wedge, that niche characters and, you know, sideline characters absolutely have real upside potential with Relic Delta until you find opponents with Relic parity, at which point those investments then look like a bad idea. It's like, okay, so I know you got to go, and I really, really want to talk about B-Wing and Home One, which of course we'll be talking about next week. But I've been an advocate that the early fleet that you should push for actually is Home One with Raven's Claw, and I've done a bunch of videos showing how it just walks right over Negotiator, Malevolence, Finalizer. That you can, as a young account, you can get to #1 in your fleet arena easily with Home One, like way easier I think than a lot of other fleets. And a lot of people push back on me immediately, but I've handheld and walked a few people through doing this, and they have all just been like, "Oh my god, it's so easy!" And I'm like, "Yes, it is. It's incredibly easy." I think that niche Relic characters have that potential benefit early on. Yeah, if you start a new account and you dump a bunch of relics into your favorite faction, and you get Lando Calrissian and Wedge and Princess Leia, and yeah, in the lower GAC arenas and stuff, yeah, I think they're going to be absolutely amazing. But when you get up to those higher levels, they're not going to perform as well. The benefit is that it helps you climb quickly, but you're going to stagnate once you get there, and then you're going to have to shift your focus back to more mainstream meta. So short term win, long term no. But that short term win may be worth it. You know?
Yeah, and it might be
a good point.
Like it might be something where I go through and I end up making lists of characters for new players that are like, these are Relic 9 investments that will help you in early game of GAC, and you can still use in the late game. They're either rote requirements, or they're, you know, they're helpful for this team or that team, that type of thing. So we might be seeing a shift of like what we need to focus on a lot in the early game, and that going vertically in the early game is going to be what's important again, because like it's very much like you need as many teams as possible right now. And so you're like, you know, oh, I need this turn meter train team at gear 10, so that way I can have a team that works, and then I need at least one solo, and like all this stuff that you need to strategize right now. And it might be instead you're just getting like 3 high relic characters and kind of going off of that in the early game that are going to be good, like good characters when you get down the road, but for now are just going to be characters to carry you.
Yeah, and there's one other advantage of having some of these B characters at high relic is that, like in Conquest, there's almost always a use for them. Like with Zealous, was it Zealous Ambition or whatever, the one that gives you extra damage based on your health for support and healers. Like I love that one with Biggs. My Biggs is Relic 8 because I love the Home One fleet. So he goes in with 3 of those Zealous Ambition data discs, and he just starts one-tapping like Malik and other people. It's so much fun.
Yeah. It's
people are asking now in the chat about Home One.
Yeah, Home One. If you want videos on Home One, Gerbil has 1 million of them, and I'm sure he's going to be very excited for B-Wing next week. I am the least prepared player for this last era and this current era. I did not have any pirates because I never went for Afra, and I don't have Raven's Claw. So like, he's definitely the one that you should go to, not me.
Yeah, Raven's Claw. So nobody practiced Raven's Claw because when it came out, Hans Millennium Falcon was still on the Home One fleet, and Profundity was not there yet. So it came out, and everybody's like, why would I want this? Like, what's the benefit of it? So everybody just skimmed right over it and moved on. turns out that once you learn the mechanics and you understand, and you have to manage it in battle. It's not just like a linear progression of do this, then that, then this. You have to manage it. It beats everything but the three GL capital ships. And I think that with the B wing, as I'm reading the kit, and I will do videos on it as soon as I can, I suspect Home One may beat I suspect it may beat Leviathan day one. And I think it will also. I think it'll beat Profundity. In fact, I think that it has the viability of beating all three capital ships. And I fully expect CG to be like, "Oh yes, we've noticed an interaction with B-wing and Home One, and it's not working as intended." We'll see. I could be wrong. I mean, just the way I'm reading the kit, I'm looking at that, going, "Whoa." I think that's going to work.
I was positive that Trench was going to be amazing reading his kit, and then I got Trench, and then I was like, ooh.
Oh, yeah, that's true, right? Paper does not equal playability sometimes. So many characters look amazing when you read it, and then they just don't do anything. So we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, I
Anyway,
really gotta
I know
get
you
going.
gotta go.
I got a movie in about 25 minutes. That's a 20-minute drive away. But any final thoughts on this Relic Delta and anything with CG? Like at this point, my kind of thing is I feel like this was just them going, hey, look, we know that these are the things you're complaining about, and we vaguely have some things in the works. We're not going to really answer any of your questions, but also confirming, hey, this was all planned and we were trying to outrage you, and now we're trying to bring it back so that way you'll be okay with the change we actually make.
I would say don't burn the barn. There's one thing we know for a fact, is that every time CG introduces something, they come back later and say, oh, we're looking at an interaction, and then they tend to modify stuff. They're already looking at interactions with Rogue One. It always happens. So whatever they eventually implement, they're probably going to come back and say, oh, yeah, this was an unintended consequence, and then they're going to modify it. So I would say it's okay to feel some stress, anxiety, and recognize that Relic Delta is going to change things a lot, but that's not necessarily bad. Let's wait and see how this pans out. Let's evaluate, and also let's recognize the upside that a video game is entertainment, and things that change it, incrementally, provide opportunity for ongoing entertainment, right? New experiences, new woes, and new worries, and whatever. So I think that it is good to introduce change, but let's just wait and see what the final result is before we really stress too much.
Yeah, I would say give it until, if you guys are looking for a timeline to give it till, don't give it until it releases. Don't do that, because when it releases, I think it will still have some kinks to work out, just like everything else CG does. I would say if you are looking for a time to decide whether or not you want to continue with Galaxy of Heroes, I would wait until January 1st. Because that'll be about a month into us having the Relic Delta. They'll have the data, and they'll have announced any changes that they intend on making, or that they're working on changes at that point. And so I would wait until January 1st this next year, and that's when I'm probably going to look back and see if it's worth continuing at this point, which, I mean, if it was to go through with the current numbers, I think we'd get to January 1st and I wouldn't be playing anymore. But if they continue to lower these numbers and they get it to a manageable spot, and, waiting to see if there's any changes post, I think that there is a world where I can be fine with Relic Delta. So we shall see.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. All right, man. See ya. Go enjoy your movie.
Thanks. I appreciate you coming on, my friend.
Hey, no problem. Take care.
You too. Awesome. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this discussion. If you want to check out the Home One stuff we were talking about, go check out the link that is in the chat right now. I will put it in the description of this stream as well right now before I forget. But thank you guys so much for joining me as I kind of explored this Relic Delta post, because I was kind of curious to see what this said, because a lot of people sounded like there was a lot of specifics. But it feels like there's a lot less specifics than what people are saying. It sounds like there's a lot of theory theories being bandied about. I'm not super happy with the way things are looking right now, but I think that there's a chance of things going well in the future. So, I don't know. As I said, wait till January 1st, I'd say. But, you know. No, isn't it the beginning of the Stranger's Conquest cycle is what they said? If I recall, they said it's supposed to be the end of this year, and it's supposed to be the beginning of the Stranger's Conquest cycle, if I recall. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what they said, so we're looking at basically a month from right now is when it was. But maybe I'm crazy. Maybe they're looking at February, but they said that it was going to be at the end of this year, and I could have sworn they said the beginning of this next Conquest season. But anyways, we'll find out more as time goes on. Unfortunately, I'm not part of the playtest. We'll figure it out as we go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for giving a damn. I gotta get going. I have a movie to be at in 20 minutes, and it's 20 minutes away. Big shout out to our damn contributors. You guys are awesome. Big shout out to our damn sugar daddy, our damn best current and former, as well as our damn elite. You guys are awesome. We have some stuff coming for you guys if I can get less busy during this weekend, but I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Let's see. I forgot to choose someone to raid. I don't know if anyone's live right now. I doubt anyone is. No one's live. Star Wars. Is there anyone live doing Star Wars stuff? Yes, but none of them have raids activated. You guys are killing me. Come on, I want to raid you guys. I want to share the love. Sure. I don't know. We'll raid that channel. Okay. Bye-bye.